Welcome to One Chapter, One Thought. I'm Pastor Chris from Lincroft Bible Church in New Jersey, and every weekday I read one chapter of the Bible and offer one brief devotional thought. Today's reading is from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 45. When you divide the land among the tribes of Israel, you must set aside a section for the Lord as his holy portion. This piece of land will be 8 1/3 miles long and 6 2/3 miles wide. The entire area will be holy. A section of this land, measuring 875 feet by 875 feet, will be set aside for the temple. An additional strip of land, 87.5 feet wide, is to be left empty all around it. Within the larger sacred area, measure out a portion of land 8 1/3 miles long and 3 1/3 miles wide. Within it, the sanctuary of the most holy place will be located. This area will be holy, set aside for the priests who minister to the Lord in the sanctuary. They will use it for their homes, and my temple will be located within it. The strip of sacred land next to it, also 8 1/3 miles long and 3 1/3 miles wide, will be a living area for the Levites who work at the temple. It will be their possession and a place for their towns. Adjacent to the larger sacred area will be a section of land 8 1/3 miles long and 1 2/3 miles wide. This will be set aside for a city where anyone in Israel can live. 2 special sections of land will be set apart for the prince. One section will share a border with the east side of the sacred lands and city, and the second section will share a border on the west side. Then, the far eastern and western borders of the prince's land will line up with the eastern and western boundaries of the tribal areas. These sections of land will be the prince's allotment. Then my princes will no longer oppress and rob my people. They will assign the rest of the land to the people, giving an allotment to each tribe. For this is what the sovereign Lord says: Enough, you princes of Israel. Stop your violence and oppression and do what is just and right. Quit robbing and cheating my people out of their land. Stop expelling them from their homes, says the sovereign Lord. Use only honest weights and scales and honest measures, both dry and liquid. The homer will be your standard unit for measuring volume. The ephah and bath will each measure 1/10 of a homer. The standard unit of weight will be a silver shekel. 1 shekel will consist of 20 gerahs, and 60 shekels will be equal to 1 mina. You must give this tax to the prince: 1 bushel of wheat or barley for every 60 you harvest, 1% of your olive oil, and 1 sheep or goat for every 200 in your flocks in Israel. These will be the grain offerings, burnt offerings, and peace offerings that will make atonement for the people who bring them, says the sovereign Lord. All the people of Israel must join in bringing these offerings to the prince. The prince will be required to provide offerings that are given at the religious festivals, the new moon celebrations, and the Sabbath days, and all similar occasions. He will provide the sin offerings, burnt offerings, grain offerings, liquid offerings, and peace offerings to purify the people of Israel, making them right with the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says: In early spring, on the first day of each new year, sacrifice a young bull with no defects to purify the temple. The priest will take blood from this sin offering and put it on the doorposts of the temple, the 4 corners of the upper ledge of the altar, and the gateposts at the entrance of the inner courtyard. Do this also on the 7th day of the new year for anyone who has sinned through error or ignorance. In this way, you will purify the temple. On the 14th day of the first month, you must celebrate the Passover. This festival will last for 7 days. The bread you eat during that time must be made without yeast. On the day of Passover, the prince will provide a young bull as a sin offering for himself and the people of Israel. On each of the 7 days of the feast, he will prepare a burnt offering to the Lord, consisting of 7 young bulls and 7 rams without defects. A male goat will also be given each day for a sin offering. The prince will provide a basket of flour as grain offering and a gallon of olive oil with each young bull and ram. During the 7 days of the Festival of Shelters, which occurs each year in early autumn, the prince will provide these same sacrifices for the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the grain offering, along with the required oil. One thought. After giving instructions to the princes and the priest, Ezekiel now sees in his vision a continuation of the restoration of God's people. It first involves setting aside a special reserve area of land for the temple, and this land will also be for the new prince of Israel. The chapter finishes with regulations concerning the restoration of the Passover and other feasts in verses 13 through 25. But in the middle of the chapter, we have an important interlude where God addresses the princes of Israel in verses 9 and 10. It says this: "This is what the sovereign Lord says. Enough, you princes of Israel. Stop your violence and oppression and do what is right. Quit robbing and cheating my people out of their land." God pauses Ezekiel's vision of the future to rebuke the current leadership of Israel. The princes, or various leaders of Israel in Ezekiel's day, were perpetuating many abuses, the kind of abuses which led to the judgment of God coming against the nation. The leadership of Israel was oppressing the people. Specifically, they were stealing land from the poor. In the nation, God had given each tribe of Israel a portion of land. But then, within those tribes, according to Joshua 15, each family or clan would receive an allotment of land. Now, in an ancient agricultural society, having land was pretty much the most important asset that you had. Maybe more just as important as having kids. But it was extremely important for people to have land. It is what provided for your family. It was where you built your family. And so having your land taken would plunge families into poverty. And so God is using his new creational future as a way of encouraging ethical behavior in the present. Do you catch that in the vision? So God is giving this glorious vision of a new temple restored, a new priesthood, new land, ultimately a new creation, saying this is coming in the future. But then he stops and says, hey guys, stop oppressing people. Don't steal their land. And so what he's saying is, hey, one day the leadership of Israel is going to be restored, and it's going to look like this. So live like it now. We see the similar dynamic at play actually in our own Christian experience. The apostles continually exhort us as believers to be who we really are, which is new creations in Christ. 2 Corinthians says if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Now, in some sense, though, right, the full completeness of our new creational identity is future. When Jesus returns is when he will bring in the new creation and when we will be glorified. But it's that glorious future that informs how we should be living now. Paul also writes in Romans 6:6 that our old self has been crucified with Christ. And later on he says, consider yourselves dead to sin. And so what he's saying is let your true identity run your present. We have died with Christ. We're a new creation in Christ. We will eventually be glorified with Christ, meaning we will have his full character exhibited in our character. And so let that future hope of perfection and of the character of Jesus being manifested in our life, that kind of character should influence how we live now. We should not let sin reign in our bodies, but instead, we should let the future inform our present and live as a new creation.